Hey everyone and welcome. We are Next Level Business Advisors and this is Business Stories of Success. If you want to break through and achieve your own business success by learning from other successful business owners, you're in the right channel. For more of our content, make sure you click subscribe and don't forget the bell icon so you're the first to be notified when new videos are added. Enjoy today's video.
Hello, hello, hello. You're with Mark Adams at Next Level Business Advisors. I almost forgot my own name. Isn't that horrific? Anyway, nice to have you with us. I'm with Kabrina Budwell of Kabrina Budwell Consulting. How are you
Yeah, it's a
today?
little bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah,
I'm doing
today I think my brain is on a slow dial for some reason. So, but I'm excited because I know you'll pick me up. How's it going?
doing well. Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. When we chatted prior to this interview, you left me on a high because you gave me so much amazing advice. I said, I know when we get together, you're going to blow it out the park. So we're glad to have you. We're glad to have you. I wanted to ask you before I start talking too much for you to give us a little background. Tell us, who are you? And tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, so my name's Kabrina Budwell again, and I own a marketing agency that started out as just a baby solopreneur doing email marketing for people because I was working in tech and people were like, "Oh, hey, you're giving me all these extra little things. Do you
Mhm.
consult?" And I was like, "No, but hey, let's try it. I'm a stay-at-home mom and whatever works, works." I always thought that I would be childless and in a big career. So that was always my
Okay.
plan. And then we got married and found out 7 months later that we were pregnant. And I was like, wait, this is not part of my get a doctorate, get a career, and be the CEO of the first female and youngest CEO of Disney. So
Okay.
plans changed.
Okay. Okay.
And now I have four babies, and we actually just found out that we have another one on the way.
Oh,
So
congratulations. Pause for a moment. That is big news. Nice to
yeah, we
hear.
were very
Congrats.
shocked. We thought we were done, and
Okay.
there were other plans for us.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So now I done got lost. So yeah, God, I'm a baby. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
But we were talking about the business. So you started out, you were going to be the CEO of Disney, which would have been pretty cool. Plans changed. So we got somehow to Kabrina Budwell Consulting. Tell us about that journey.
Yeah. So what happened is I actually started out as a photographer and was teaching American Sign Language because everybody says, go with what you're passionate about. And I was all about American Sign Language, teaching parents that of how to deal with children once they find out that they're deaf, because that's a huge thing that happens. And there's
Yeah.
not a whole lot of education out there. So I had been teaching in libraries and going to people's houses and working with kids with apraxia and speech development issues. And found myself saying, okay, this is great, but I can't, one, do more than what I can do. So I was like, I'm going to create an online course. This is going to be
Okay.
fantastic. So got into the online space and ended up getting hired on at ConvertKit doing the tech. And so I learned how to code really like overnight because you get thrown
Wow.
in the deep end. And it was kind of scary. And I was like most people when they see code of, oh my gosh, this is a different language. And then as I started to learn it, I started being like, oh, this is exactly like my degree in business and marketing. It's just a little bit different twist of the digital side that they weren't really teaching. Even, gosh, when did I go to college? Even just the 10 years ago that I started college. So,
Okay.
it's one of those things that people don't realize how fast this industry has changed, but they
Hmm.
also don't realize that there's some foundations that a lot of new people don't know because they don't have a business degree. So
Right.
being able to take both sides of those, as well as building your own business and making the mistakes as you go, I learned really fast that just because you're passionate about something and you create an online course about it doesn't mean you're going to make money with it. So I've got this
Mm.
beautiful course that's just sat there and I just give it away for free when people are interested in sign language. And I started consulting with these people that I was meeting, that I was just talking with, just having conversations on Facebook groups and learning about business and being like, hey, here's what I've learned. And they were like, oh, you're really knowledgeable in this, because I'm a little bit of a research nerd. So when I get down a rabbit hole, I kind of just keep going like Alice in Wonderland until I get to
Okay.
my destination. And so I always joke that I could go on a game show and know all the answers, because I
Oh,
just
okay, like
know
Ken
lots
Jennings.
of random things. So it was social media or something like that, because sometimes I'm like, I don't know the history ones, but the ones about business I could probably knock out of the park.
Nice, nice.
But we really started focusing on email marketing, and then had a lot of clients that were like, hey, I need somebody to do my social media. I need somebody to create this quiz. I need somebody to do this. And so I had some beginning clients that wanted to work with me and basically paid me to learn how to do it, which was really nice,
Mm-hmm.
because I was able to do what I'm passionate about and research things to the nth degree. And
Right.
then they were able to come out with this really cool product that most people weren't using. So quizzes, for example, are one of those that people don't realize that 9 out of 10 things on social media are quizzes, and they're a great lead generator, but you don't see very many businesses utilizing them. You see a lot of
Ooh,
BuzzFeed, so I know what princess I am, but I
you done
don't
gave us a
necessarily.
little tip there.
Yeah.
Quizzes. Okay. I'm sorry. When I hear something that's amazing, I just have to stop for a moment so people who are listening, who are business owners, because this is toward them, they can also recognize that's something you just told us something, right? Lead gen
Yeah. Well,
quiz. Okay.
hmm and it's a great way to get traffic, because people love to know about themselves. It's why we do the Myers-Briggs. It's why we know our Enneagram number. It's why we are into this human design idea, is because we want to know more about who we are so that we can be a better, productive human being. And so if you can
Nice.
take those aspects, put them into a quiz, and then be able to talk specifically to that person, you basically kill two birds with one stone. Somebody's email address, and he who has the most email address win, because that's just how
Absolutely.
the market works.
Hmm.
And you know exactly what this person wants already. They've already pre-qualified themselves with answering your
Right.
questions.
Nice. Nice. Cool. So you were able to build this into a consulting business. I want to get a little bit of detail about what kind of consulting you ideally have landed upon. Is it social media
Mhm.
consulting? Is it advertising? Is it quiz development? So we have a clear picture of exactly what you can. So when I hire you, what are you going to do for me?
Yeah, so we focus on email marketing. The
Okay.
reason being is because email marketing is the center of your ecosystem when it comes to how you do marketing. Everything should
Okay.
lead to your email and your website.
Beautiful.
The reason being is because
Okay.
we don't own social media.
So
We
true.
own our list and we own our website.
Beautiful.
And so if we can get people there, then we have them. We have their attention. We have them on a pixel so that we can retarget them on ads. We
Love it.
know what kind of people they are based on a quiz, what they've been doing, answering our emails or opening certain things and not opening other things in
Gotcha.
order to do the rest of it. So we do
Beautiful.
have branches of our business that do social media management, but we're going to mainly consult on how do we get people to this core area, and then
Nice.
how are the spokes on that are the social media and the advertising and things like
Nice.
that.
Beautiful. Now let me ask you, you are going to be the CEO of Disney. You're now the CEO of Kabrina Budwell Consulting. What other roles do you play in your firm?
Yeah, so originally I was playing all of them.
Okay.
We really focus on trying to get me as the creative outside of it so that I can focus on being on things like this, talking with people, giving the knowledge, and then having the time to do more research, because obviously the landscape changes on the daily. So if I'm in the work all the time, I can't be on the edge of what's happening for our clients. So
Beautiful.
really, we're in the process right now of moving me out, hiring people on that can take my spot and be doing the consults after the first round of like, here's the plan. I put the plan in place, I give you the map, and then I say, here's your manager. And they're going to be able to walk you through this whole entire plan and be your guide.
Awesome. So the title of our podcast is Stories of Success. And so part of that is understanding how to successfully scale your business. And it sounds like that's where you have started to get this mastery. You're now becoming the rainmaker, the visionary, and you're having the staff do some of the work, which is allowing you to scale and grow. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. And you know, that's a beautiful place to be in business because man, you're kind of looking down the road, you know, as what we're going to be. And eventually your consulting business might be as big as Disney's. Why not? If
Yeah,
you
there you
want it to
go.
be.
Oh, and yeah, and it's not a huge jump to go from CEO of one company to CEO of another. So,
There you
it's
go.
still
There you
possible.
go. Awesome. Awesome. So let me do a little bit of bookkeeping because I always ask this question of everyone who's interviewed. You've already told us so much about your business. And normally I don't get a lot into the details, but it was just so interesting. And I'm going to be a little selfish. I was trying to learn for myself. But do you have a website that we can find you at? Do you have a phone number that we can
Yes.
reach you at? Give us those deets.
Yes. Yes, I have all of that. So, the biggest thing that I have learned is to have a business phone because people want to be able to contact you, and most digital businesses don't have one now.
It's so
But you can,
true.
it's crazy. Even big companies don't have a line for you to call. And I'm like, but I want to talk to a human. I have a question that's not in this help document.
Yes.
So you can find me at kabrinabudwell.com. And then if you're really wanting to shoot me a call or find me on Clubhouse, it's 720-296-1209.
Okay, man, I should repeat that one more time because I had an audio glitch. 720
296-1209.
1209. Awesome. And I want you to do me
Mhm.
one more favor because some of us don't spell as well as others. Can you spell out your website?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's Kabrina, just like Sabrina with a K. It's Kabrina, and then Budwell, Budwell. We jokingly say Budwell like a flower.
Nice. I like that.
Mhm.
Very cool. So now when we're trying to find you, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you picked with your pen on the second time around and wrote the number down. But if you didn't, it's easy to find her. Her website is her name. That's really cool.
Yes.
I would have loved for that to be me, but I think there's so many Mark Adams in the world. It'd be kind of lame. Actually, the biggest Mark Adams around is Mark Adams School of Woodwork. I got
Oh,
to meet
that's
that guy
interesting.
one day. Yeah, I have to meet him one
Mhm.
day. Mark, if you ever hear my podcast, look me up, man. I would love to chat with you. So
There
we
you go.
talked a
You can
little
start
bit about
working
your
together.
business. So, yeah, I mean, I would love it, right? Just and he
Mhm.
can teach me some things. You mentioned that you have a degree in business,
Mhm.
right? You
Yes.
do you do computer coding, which
Mhm.
is very cool. I used to be a coder years ago. I worked for Dell. Um, you do sign language. You do all these things. So what makes you the expert in your field? Is it all of that, or is it something different that says, no, I have all these skills, but this is what makes me the expert?
Yeah. So as far as email marketing, the reason that I'm the expert in this field is because I've focused solely on this. Most media and marketing agencies are going to focus on a little bit of everything. And so they get a little bit muddled with all of it. What makes us really different and what I've noticed over the last few years is that because we've niched down into email and then we scale out with spokes based on that, our clients see a lot more success because they're not getting into the vanity metrics. It's not just, oh, I have swipe up because I have this 10,000 people on Instagram. I actually have 10,000 people on my email list instead of 10,000 on Instagram. So you might only have 2 or 3,000 people following you, but those 2 or 3,000 people are engaged and they're probably one of the 10,000 on your email list. So
Beautiful.
we're really gauging based on what's working versus what people are just saying, oh, hey, I have all these people, but they're not actually seeing me based on the algorithm.
Gotcha. I love what you said, and what makes you the expert. I wrote an ebook and it's like mastering the 5 keys to business success. And one of them talked about like knowing your customers. And it said that really the way you become an expert is to have a niche, right? Riches and niches. I've heard that expression and use it a
Yeah.
lot. And you said, I'm an expert because I dig deep into one specific area, email marketing. So you found that rich in the niche, and that's what makes you an expert. That's
Mhm.
awesome. And I like that because the folks who have listened to our podcast are listening to get valuable tips from people who are successful in one way or the other. So you just gave us another gem, right? Try to focus on a niche and you can be a lot more successful. So thank you for that. And thanks for making that your expertise. When this is over, we're going to talk. Anyway,
Okay, I'm excited.
um, let me ask you this next question. We're entitled Stories of Success. How do you define success?
Oh, absolutely. This is a great question. So, success is based on what you want to do with your life. So, if you don't have a plan for your life, you can't find success. So, I think it's really focusing on this is something that we've really put into the business is having a map of where you want to end up and knowing what that looks like because it's going to change as you go. And so for us, success is having not just financial freedom so that we can do whatever we want, be as generous as we want, and help the people that we want to. It's also being able to say, okay, what am I saying no to, even if it
Mm,
sounds really exciting? Because I think that success for some of the people that I've worked with and other friends of mine in this industry is what else can I get into? How many things can I be doing? And then you get lost in it. So success is also being able to say, here's what I do, here's the platform that I have, and here's how I can help people in that platform, even if they're paying me.
I love it. I love it. That's nice. So do you consider yourself successful?
Yes. And I think that you're always on your way as well. Because once you hit one, it's that idea of there's a book called The Happiness Advantage. And it's the idea of, we're always trying to get to that next thing. And I think it's great as a human to have another goal, but then being grateful for where you're at so that you can say, hey, I'm here. I was just talking to a client and he was like, yeah, I see where I am 6 months from now, even though I'm really overwhelmed with this information right now. 6 months ago, I was way farther behind than I am now. So I know it's overwhelming right this second, but in 6 months, I'm going to be in a different spot. And I love it when he says that because it reminds me when I get overwhelmed of all these things that I have to do in business and hiring another person on and training them and trying to get to the next level in my own business, that I'm just grateful for where I'm at and what I know and the money that I'm making now. Because if I'm grateful for that and I see where I'm at, I can take a good gauge of where I'm at. I don't really think that it comes down to, I'm just grateful. It comes down to you're grateful and it gives you the breath that your brain needs to say, oh, this is where I'm at. So now I have a clearer picture of where I'm going versus I'm just going to be grateful for where I'm at, even if I'm making nothing, because that's what I'm being told to do. It's more
Mhm.
that pause of this is what I know, this is where I'm at. And then that gives you the clear picture of what that next step is.
Awesome. Wow, that was beautifully stated. I like it. Let me ask you this. So you feel that you're successful. You mentioned that it is a journey. So you're on your
Mhm.
way. As you enjoy some successes, you're actually looking for more, which makes sense, right? Um, how have you made this journey a successful one for yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, it really has been being able to see what I want to do at the end. Like when I'm 80, sitting on my porch in a rocking chair, because that's how I imagine myself.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so that's my weird imagining myself 80 years. Well, not 80 years from now, but you know what I mean. We won't give
I
away too
got you.
much.
I got you. I got you.
uh, but just being able to say, okay, when I'm on my deathbed, what do I want to be able to say that I was excited about? It's not going to be about working 16-hour days like I do sometimes, even now. It's going to be about how many people did I help and where is my family at and how successful are those people because they're the people that I'm leaving behind as a legacy. So I think for me, it's been what pieces of that am I actually being able to foresight into sitting on that porch at 80 and looking back and saying, hey, this is all the things that I was able to help do. And I think it becomes not just what your name is on. So for me, it's not like, oh, I need to have a monument, for example, named after
Okay.
me because to remember me. It's more like, what are those people going to remember me for, even if I'm not in a history book?
Nice. Nice. I like that. So, if I'm getting it right, you might not want to be known by the entire world, but for those that did know you want them to have these amazing memories. Did I get that right?
Yeah. And
I,
then you know that they can move on with it. Because I think when you start a business, especially because it's a lot easier than it was even 20 years ago to start a business
oh yeah.
now.
Yeah.
My husband mentioned, he's like, oh, yeah, and then we can pass this down to the kids. And I was like, I don't want to lock them into that. I want them to learn from this. And I want to give them the skills that if they want to start their own business, they can. But I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, you have to take on the family business
Yes.
because
Yeah.
that's your legacy. I'm just going to be like, if it dies, great. If we sell it, great. If you want to take it over, great. There's
Yeah.
no like prerogative there because this was because I wanted to start it and I want my kids to be able to have that same dream and learn the skills from it, but also be able to do what they want with their lives.
I like it. I like it. So let me ask you this question. I'm going to pivot a tad. You've been in business for a little bit now. Um,
Yes.
Along our business journeys, most of us have made some huge mistakes. What's one big mistake that you've made in your business journey
Oh,
that you
so
care to
many.
share?
Oh,
Okay.
there's so many. The biggest mistake that I made starting out was thinking that I could do this all by myself.
Oh boy. Okay.
That there was, I was going to be like these big names out there that you see, like Gary Vee. You don't think about the team that's behind them. You just see them. And so you're like, yeah, I'm going to be a solopreneur. I'm going to make these millions of dollars and it's going to be great. And I'm going to be able to do it all by myself because I'm going to schedule everything. And I'm an automation freak. So I'm like, I
Me
can
too.
automate that. I can make some code for that. I can create a system. And then you get to this point where you're like, well, what about those things that require you? Like getting on podcasts, consulting with clients, being able to be empathetic and walk people through the process because you've been there and you know exactly how to get them to the next step. I wasn't considering all of that when I started out because I didn't have a whole lot of clients. So I was like, this is easy. I can live with this. I just need to raise my prices. Okay, that's not physically possible. You have to know you have to have a team. And I don't necessarily agree that you need to hire somebody on before you're ready. I think that you should be somewhat ready. You need to have some kind of income there in order to pay them, one, for fairness for them, but then also so that you're not like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die under the pressure and mortgage my house in order to pay all of these people.
Right.
And
Right.
growing slow, because when we hired on our first person, I wasn't ready for it, but I was, hearing all these people of just do it, you'll make the jump and then the funds will come. That's not always true.
Not always
Especially
true.
as a
You're right.
planner and an A personality, I needed to have that there. So then I had to backtrack and say, okay, let's move you down to part-time. Let's get my stuff back together and then be able to say, okay, here is what we are looking at. And here's how we can train these people up into that next step. But the other big mistake I made was trying to use some other name besides my name for branding.
Ah, okay.
So I originally had a website called Coding and Contractions, totally based off of a joke, because when I was pregnant with my third, I was literally writing code for somebody and having contractions because you
Wow.
can't go to the hospital right away. So I was like, I'm just going to keep myself busy. And one of my friends was like, you should totally buy that. That's such a catchy name. It was catchy, but it was not a good demographic to go towards either.
Right.
So naming is definitely something that I think you learn over time.
Yeah, that's two nice lessons. I'm gonna just stop for a moment and step back. You mentioned the first one, doing it on your own. I see so many when I'm doing this podcast now, so many business owners say, "Yeah, a big mistake trying to do it on myself, do it all myself." You know, you're right. When you start out, the money's not there, so you can't even envision necessarily hiring someone. It's like, well, how am I going to do that and pay the
Yeah.
bills? I'm trying to eat. I'm trying to stay chunky here. I can't do that and
Mhm.
give it to somebody else. But you made a nice point. you have to plan. It sounds like you plan for it, you build toward it, and then you bring it on, but you do it smartly. If you do it smartly, you will be able to make it. I love that lesson you learned. um, I always ask people, like, what could they have done to avoid the mistake? It sounds like you've already given us an answer, because you've given it a lot of thought, and you actually backtracked a little bit, went from a full-time to a part-time, rebuilt and brought that person back up. Did I get that clear?
Yes. And the great thing is that he was able to take that time that he was doing part time because of all of the things going on in the world. One, take care of the things that he needed to, but then also learn, because he was really excited about it. So now we run ads for people and I have no idea how to do it. And it's fantastic. And I don't want to know. And I'm like, here's some strategy. Here's the people we need to hit. Here's the big picture. Now you go press all the buttons and let me know how it goes and give me the analytics,
Wow.
because I don't want to know how to run an ad. And
Isn't
so
that
that's the
cool?
beauty of having other people. Yeah.
Yes. It is so
And so
cool.
they can be the genius in that, and I don't have to be.
Yeah. A good team, my goodness, it's a game changer.
Mhm.
And
It
so
is.
so can I buy your coding and contracting website? No, just kidding. I laugh because this is Next Level Business Advisors is a subsidiary of my parent company, right? Because I started doing taxes. And so, what's my business name? MCA, certified tax preparers. Then you make a website and it's like, who wants to type all these letters? you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
branding matters, doesn't it?
It
Branding
does.
matters.
More than
Yeah.
people think.
Yes, absolutely. If you get the right brand, well, you can tell us, you're an expert at it, right? It just makes things so much easier, you
It
know?
does. And it's so simple. It's not about making it super complex and having 16 colors and 15 fonts. It's like you want your 4 colors, your 2 fonts, and then you want things that people see all the time. It's Think about all of these YouTube stars, like Blippi, for example. Anybody with little kids is probably very familiar with Blippi.
Okay, because I don't
And
know Blippi, but go ahead.
his name is what? Blippi. 6 letters. He has 2 colors. And if my kids see something that is blue and orange, even living in Colorado where the Broncos are the team, they associate it with Blippi because that's what they see all the time. So he has his brand on point. Super simple. It's really easy. And people make it way too complicated because they're like, oh, I'm a high level thinker and this is so exciting. And people are going to be able to see all of these little things in between, like you're reading a literary book and trying to pull it apart for all of its meaning. And that's not what people want. They want that really simple, this is, you can follow this. So then your message becomes what's the complex thing, not your branding.
Beautiful. Wow, I love it. I love it. You are giving us so much. I'm going to have to listen to this 4 times and then take notes. Normally I'm trying to take notes, but I'm like,
Right?
you got me locked in. I'm like, okay, 2 colors. Okay. Thank you. All right, let me switch gears a little bit more. What do you think is the single most important quality needed to be a successful business owner?
Competency.
Wow. Why do you say competency?
I have worked with a lot of people over the last several years, and I can tell you, knowing that I can't do this on my own, I tend to hire people that are the experts in that space because I don't want to learn all the things anymore now that I have
Okay.
the time and the space to hire somebody else. But I've also found that there's a lot of people that are very smart in what they do, but they're not competent. I can't give them something and say, run with it, create new things, be the person that's the genius in this zone, and I don't have to check it. So it's very, very hard to find those kinds of people. And that's one of the things that I've found from servicing our clients for the last several years is that they're like, you're the only one I can depend on. And I was like, this is really weird. Like, why is that coming up constantly, especially this last year? And I started doing some market research, and it was because these people are getting on things like webinars and saying, here's all these little facts that you could probably Google. And to get this big thing that's going to really help you, you need to buy this $30,000 program. Well, you buy the $30,000 program and then it's stuff you could have Googled. And I've been in some of those programs and been like, oh, okay, I can see where people are going with this. We're just regurgitating information and hoping that we've packaged it differently enough that it's good enough. And so really focusing on how competent am I, not just to do the job that I have, but also to grow with the job.
Beautiful. That competency, I like that. And I've spoken to a lot of people. No one's given me that one before, but that's really important because competency leads to sustainability, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are incompetent and you're running a business, you will fail sooner or later. That's just the reality unless you gain the competency. So I really love that. That's really important, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that you are competent. And you're right. In the accounting world, there are some people who make these ads. It's like, you don't even need to know accounting to open up a business. You can just open it up, buy this app and let it work and you will make millions. And I always shudder at that because in my firm, we still do some compliance work. I have people who work for me and they're pretty good. They've been free. They still come and ask me questions. It's not, you can't automate everything. You can't systematize anything. You've got to have something between the ears. So I love that.
Yes.
You have to if you're going to be a successful owner, you might want to get that competency in place. I love it. I love it.
Yes. And then hiring people with it.
Absolutely. So you got to be smart with who you pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And
so
sometimes
I
you make
love that.
mistakes and it's okay.
Yeah. And I think if you make a mistake and let's say you hire the wrong person, tell me what you think. Be quick to to make an adjustment, right? If I realize that this is not the right fit, that's the way I'm going to put it, then you make the adjustment. Don't doggedly say, well, I made this choice and I'm going to ride into the ground. If we're the owners, we have to make sometimes tough decisions. That's always a challenge
Yes.
for me too. Like if I hire somebody and it's not the right fit, I've had it happen. One time I hired a person that was close to me and it was a bad fit and I had to let them go. I was in here almost crying. And they're like, it's all right. Cause they were hoping I got rid of them. It's okay. It's going to be all right. You're going to be fine. I'm like, but I don't know what to do, but as an owner, we have to make the tough decisions too. So I really, I like that idea. Here's another question for you. How have coaches or mentors contributed to your success?
Yes. So I've had some fantastic ones and I have had some awful ones, but it's
Ooh.
made me more aware of which ones are the fantastic ones. So I think it's focusing on being the dumbest person in the room. I think when we first start out, you are like, oh, well, I want to get into a group that, like, I've done some group programs where I was right, kind of in the middle. I knew enough to where I could be dangerous, but not enough to be super successful. And those were
Gotcha.
some really good groups because I was able to contribute and that filled me up as a person because I love to help people. But then I was also able to glean things from that group and knew when it was time to step out of it. And I think that's the other thing is you get caught in the community aspect and it's hard to step out because you're like, well, I like these people and I'm comfortable here. So we're actually right in the middle of that right now. So this is a great question for us. I'm in a group and it's a great group of people, but I've been attached to the community and it's time for me to step out at the end of this rotation. And I'm like, okay, in order to get to the group that I'm really looking for, I have to hit a certain income goal in order to even qualify.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's really my main thing right now is I need to be the dumbest person in the room. And in order to do that, I need to hit this income goal to get into this group. So going back to that question of what does success look like for me right now in my journey, success is hitting this specific income goal that seems really big right now so that I can get into this group that I know is going to be what's going to level me up to the next level.
Oh, wow. I love it. Whew. I love the way you articulate. You really paint a nice, clear picture, quite honestly. That helps even me in my visions. And I love the way you put things together. Do you have time for two more questions?
Yes, of course.
Awesome. I want to ask you this question. What advice would you give to a brand new business owner?
Have a plan in place. I think we get really excited with the ideas of what we have, and then we get into this spiral of, and if I do this, and if I do this, and if I do this, and then I'm going to be on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and I'm going to post to them every single day because that's what some guru told me to do. And then you get bogged down with the things that you have to do in your to-do list that's never a to-done list, and you never actually end up creating anything, and it takes you
Yeah.
forever money.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You know, when I'm talking to clients, especially those who are brand new, I have a program, I call it a launch program. So we take you from idea to reality in like 90 days. That's really the goal. The hardest part is that sticking to the plan. So I always think about like horse racing. Not that I'm a enthusiast, but I know that they put these blinders on the horse. So they can't
Mm-hmm.
look to the right, they can't look to the left, they stick to the plan. And without those blinders, they might never make the finish line. They might never make it. But
Exactly,
with the
because they're gonna get
blinders,
distracted by all the
yeah,
things.
yeah. And so you have to, I love what you said, make the plan, don't get distracted. Once you're in business for a while, then it's probably even worse because that's me all the time. Left, right, left, right, left, right. So it's physician heal thyself. I got to make sure that I don't allow myself to get distracted by all the other things that are out there if I'm going to hit a target. So I love that.
Mhm.
New business owners, put your blinders on.
Yeah,
Don't
well,
get
you gotta think
distracted.
about it like a story. So you have the hero, which in this case is the business owner, and then the guide is your plan that you've created. And so you're gonna follow that guide to the end. And you can't get all over the place because then you don't make it there. It's
That's
like
right.
watching Finding Nemo or Finding Dory. She knows where she's going and she gets there even though she's very easily distractible. And it's everybody else in the movie that's getting distracted because she was the original guide in Finding Nemo. So it's
Mm,
knowing what you want. She wants to go find her parents and she's going to do it no matter what, even though she's like, oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. I'm here.
got it. Got it. I haven't seen that movie in a long, long time, but I do remember that a little bit. You might have seen a little bit
Have to go
more
on your
recently
list.
than I. Yes, yes, yes,
Yes.
absolutely. And with this lousy weather and being stuck in the house more, I will make time for it. So
There
here's
you
my
go.
final question for you because I said I had two more for you. And this one goes back to you. If you could go back to right before you started your business, what advice would you give yourself?
To not be so hard on myself. Being a high
Love it.
achiever, it's difficult to not be like, oh, well, this didn't work out the first time. Oh, I didn't figure it out the first time. But by doing it over and over again, you become proficient at it, but then you also learn little tricks along the way. So there's been plenty of times that I've set systems up for people and something didn't fire because a button wasn't turned on or the system broke somewhere or there was a coding error. And you get so frustrated and mad at yourself. And I finally had to step back and say, if I send out an email that accidentally has one less little curly Q at the end and it says first dot subscriber name, it's not the end of the world. I can send out another email and say, hey, at least it's being sent by a human, and really looking at it that way and changing my perspective on my mistakes of I'm a human and people appreciate that because they're not being talked to by a robot like some of these bigger companies. They're actually having interactions. People can email me back when I email them and talk to me about what they thought about it. I've had people say, oh, this didn't really hit me the right way. And I've also had people email me and be like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I needed to hear today. And so it gives me, one, market research, and two, it lets me know where my audience is so that I can cater my message and what I'm creating for them specifically.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. And I'm kind of hard on myself too, but over time I've gotten a lot kinder to myself. Because what we do learn over time is that it's not the end of the world. Very few mistakes will destroy you forever. So I like that. That's a good piece of advice and one that many business owners can benefit from, especially those who are starting out. So I love that question
Mm-hmm.
and I love your answer. Hey, this was amazing. I really want to thank you for your time today and for giving us a little glimpse into your business journey. And we look forward to watching you continue to flourish at your, well, not just this venture, but every venture you're involved in. And congratulations once again.
Yes,
Always on
thank you.
the
It's always
horizon
fun
for you.
talking with you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you again.